Hey, it's Reed from Emerald Lotus, a website that shares free weekly tarot resources. And today I am doing a tarot spread. So today we're going to be doing my people-pleasing tarot spread that I just released recently on my website. I will have the spread linked below if you want to check it out and do it for yourself. Otherwise, feel free to just watch this video or do the spread along with me while you watch the video. I am going to be using my beloved Star Seeker Tarot. This is one of my all-time favorite tarot decks. You guys know if you've been watching me. I don't always post about it because she's like my deck that I use for my own personal practice. I don't usually read for clients with this deck because I just love this deck, and this is like a deck that is just for me, that really makes me inspired and happy to use, and it just helps me on my tarot journey and my healing journey. I'm obsessed with this deck still to this day, and I've had it for, I don't know when I bought it, but it must be like at least a year at this point, hey? Anyways, so let's get into this reading. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely a people pleaser. I always want to make people happy, and I find it hard to really use my voice and stand up for myself and say no, or just like recognize, like a lot of the time I've gotten better about saying no, but one thing that's been coming up about my people pleasing lately with my business is like if somebody ever has a problem with me, even if it is totally unfounded, and I've really had to try to like distance myself from people on the internet, which is hard because a lot of you guys I feel really connected to and I love talking to you, but I also just feel like I've definitely distanced myself a lot from people on the internet and just kind of tried to like retreat back into my real life with people that I know personally that know me. Anyways, but this tarot spread is about people pleasing, and I feel like I'm always trying to people please people on the internet. I feel like with my real friends, I can always be truthful and tell people I don't want to do that, or I'm not in the mood, or I don't like that, or whatever. But I feel like when it's like with my business, I just find it so hard because I want to have like good customer service, and also like my business is me, so I want to be truthful to myself, but then I also have to like respect myself, but then I also want to be a good business. So I just find it really hard lately, and that's why I made this tarot spread. So if you're someone like me that has a hard time people pleasing, and you feel like you're always just like bending over backwards for people, or you're just doing the most to get people to like you and to be satisfied and happy with you, and you recognize that it's not exactly conducive to a healthy you, then this tarot spread is for you. So this is a 5-card spread, and I have my phone here so that I can see it because I can never remember them. So the first one is, where does my need to people please stem from? 2 of Wands. So not really knowing my direction and feeling a little bit indecisive about decisions that I have, and feeling kind of like in this flux of trying to plan where I'm going and figure out what I'm doing in life is kind of causing me to people please because I don't know exactly what my boundaries are, because I don't know exactly what my direction is. Also stems from like this obsession with looking to the future and having like anxiety about things that haven't happened or manifested yet. So I just kind of like assume the worst of people, you know, like if somebody doesn't like me, or I don't do enough to make someone happy and change their opinion of me to get them to like me and feel happy with me, then I'm worried that like that's going to wreck my entire business or my brand or my tarot stuff. Like I just feel like I worry too much about the potential outcomes in the future instead of just focusing on the now. So that is the 2 of Wands reversed. Number 2 is, why do I have a hard time saying no? The Hermit. That's interesting. So I think the reason that I have a hard time saying no to people pleasing is probably because I'm like avoiding something and trying to like distract myself from the uncomfortable feelings that come with it. And also probably like not using my own internal wisdom and using my thinking mind or my anxious mind or my ego rather than my like intuitive wisdom that comes from within, that comes from a place that doesn't necessarily need to people please because it recognizes its own worth. So it's kind of like the Like, I have a hard time saying no because I'm kind of masking my discomfort by trying to be like wise and smart, but instead of actually doing that, I'm really just masking my ego and my feelings of anxiousness, instead of just going within and recognizing that I have every right and need and capability of saying no because I'm worthy of saying no. So it kind of relates to like sorry, my camera keeps like going out of focus, but it relates with having, I forgot what I was just gonna say. No, basically it relates with like having a true sense of my inner wisdom and recognizing my worth in a deeper level that would allow me to really say no to people. So there's a need to like tap into my inner wisdom a little bit more. So how is people pleasing damaging to me is the third card. The Fool reversed. Okay, so people pleasing makes me afraid to start anything. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this out with only one hand. So people pleasing makes me afraid to actually start anything and like get moving on things because of the fear of failing or disappointing people before I even begin. So this card is all about like the hesitancy to start and the anxiousness. So a lot of this that we're getting in this reading is anxiousness about the future or anxiousness about things that don't exist, which totally makes sense, right? Because that essentially is like the definition of people pleasing. We are doing it most of the time to avoid uncomfortable feelings and avoid like having this reality come true that we've created in our minds, where people are not going to like us, or we're going to fail, or it's going to be negative. And so that anxiousness is really what's actually guiding us instead of our internal wisdom. It's like our thinking ego mind of anxiety. So the fear, it's damaging to me because I'm not starting on projects and doing new things and taking leaps of faith because I'm worried about people pleasing, which is really, really crazy. Like, I never would have thought that other people, my perception of other people and what they think of me is what holds me back from doing things. But now that the tarot has brought that out, I can totally see that. Like, it took me a long time to really start my YouTube channel, for instance, when I wanted to start it a long time before, but I was really worried that people that I knew would find it and judge me and like make fun of me. And of course, like, that happens, and it has happened, and it's not as bad as I would have made it out to be in my mind. Like, if anybody ever makes a comment or makes fun of me, I know that those people are not people that I want in my life or that I really want to trust. So it's been a blessing because it's shown me like who doesn't actually support me. So how can I face the discomfort of others' disapproval? That is the fourth card. The Three of Swords reversed. I love this depiction. So this card reversed is all about negative like thinking and how we perpetuate negative thoughts about ourselves and how damaging that can be. Sorry, it doesn't want to focus. So again, this card just really talks about negative projections into the future and how we're avoiding dealing with our emotions in the present, and how we are essentially like becoming kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy with the negative emotions. So because I assume negative things are going to happen, people are going to be upset. I'm basically catastrophizing how I think things are going to go. So I can really face the discomfort by realizing that the opinion of others that I'm so scared of, essentially, and it's holding me back, isn't actually founded. Like, there is no bad opinion of others that's holding me back. It's the bad opinion of myself. So it's actually me that's putting this pressure on myself, and me that's creating this negative self-talk and self-deprecating feelings and emotions. And it's me that's holding myself back from fear of looking stupid and fear of taking risks, like the Fool reverse suggests. And again, we see this Hermit where it's like, instead of focusing on my inner wisdom and this like deep part of myself that is more wise and grounded and calm, I'm living in this place of lower vibration where it's like anxiety and worry and stress about nothing, essentially, right? Like, I'm just catastrophizing and making situations up in my head that are going to exist if I feel like I don't people please enough. Like, again, I quote, like, enough, like to my standards, or whatever I've deemed in my mind as not people pleasing and making people happy. So basically I have to face this discomfort by recognizing that it's not the negative opinion of others that's holding me back, it's the self-deprecating talk that I have to myself. Boom. See, tarot is just so crazy. I always have the deepest readings, especially when I use the Star Seeker. I feel like she's just like, she loves me, but she's like, honey, we need to talk about this, you know? Like, she always gives me the best messages. So the final card is, how can I focus more on my own wants and needs? Page of Wands. Oh, that's interesting. So to me, this essentially means that it's kind of blown out. Sorry. It just doesn't want to focus today, you know, but you guys get the point, I think. But basically, I can focus on my own wants and needs by really just like feeling fearless and more extroverted in what I want and going after it and chasing after adventure. So letting go of this negative self-talk that we see with like the swords energy and moving into this wand focused energy where it's like taking action, making leaps, not being afraid of like looking stupid or being afraid of like all this like narrative that I've created in my mind that holds me back, and tapping into my internal wisdom and really just like taking leaps and changes and going after things that I want. And I think a really big lesson that came with this reading for me is that the perception of other people isn't actually what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of my perception of myself and the judgment that I put on myself. And that totally would make sense, right? Like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what people think about us. Logically, we know that, right? Like we know that it doesn't matter what other people think about us, especially if we know that we are good people and we're living from a place of self-centeredness. Oh my goodness, I meant to say self-awareness and groundedness, and like we're living from like a higher vibrational place where we're conscientious of other people and ourselves. And if we're living from that place and we feel confident in who we are, we follow our morals, we act ethically, and our actions are in line with our intentions and our outlook on life, then if somebody is disapproving of that or doesn't like that for no good reason, I mean, that doesn't mean anything to us, right? Like that shouldn't be something that would influence us because it's irrelevant, right? Like it's not a real critique or criticism of who we are. It's just somebody's projection of a negative opinion of themselves usually. So it's like, really, we're not afraid of other people's opinions of us. We're not afraid of people pleasing other people. We're afraid of our own talk and the way that we view ourselves and the voice that we have in our own mind that tells us that, you know, we're not good enough, or we're not helping people enough, or we're not, you know, we're being selfish for speaking our minds or saying no. Like that's the voice that we're scared of. It's that voice inside ourselves, that negative ego chatter that we're really so afraid of, that's causing us to behave in this people-pleasing manner. And all that we really need to do is just recognize that that talk is not helping us. It's actually hindering us from taking risks and starting new projects and living the life that we want, because we're being held back by our own opinion. And it's always so interesting that like the biggest bully in our lives is always ourselves. And it's so tragic because in a perfect world, in an idealistic world, it just seems so easy to solve that, right? Like just stop being mean to yourself. It's so simple. It's just kind of like when people say, you know, oh, you're upset, well just be happy. Like why not, right? And so that's the kind of the nice thing about those like simple aspects of life, is that yes, they're hard because it's not always as easy as it sounds, but it is possible. It's just something that we have to work towards. So I know moving forward that this tarot spread is going to be one that I look back on, and I'm really going to use these messages moving forward to dictate how I live my life and how I move forward and how I take risks and how I channel that internal wisdom within me that knows things rather than just my thinking mind that wants to convince me of things that aren't true. So, wow, that was wonderful. I thank you so much for being here, and I really hope that this video resonated with you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.